YouTube. This is the GreyWolfVino, and I'm back. This time, you know how if you've been watching a couple of Yu-Gi-Oh showcases I've been putting up, it's been Yugi versus this deck, Yugi versus that deck. What I mean is when Yugi Starter Deck Reloaded came out, there was a couple good cards that I liked, and then basically I took that base and I built a deck which is somewhat competitive because it took out some really good deck and it really couldn't compete. It's not tier 1 or anything, but it's pretty good. So let's see. We got 2 Dark Magician, the artwork that was drawn by the original. We got a sexy Buster Blader. Look at that. Again, another card drawn by the original. Summon Skull, not so good looking, but it was drawn by the original, so I kept it. Dark Magician Girl. It's not in America because when the original drew it, he did not want to alter it because he drew with titties, and you know how we feel in America. That censored this. Mystical Elf Defense. Giant Soldier Stone. A Yugi card Defense. An alternate drawing of Karibo. You guys haven't noticed now, if anything had an alternate drawing, I took the alternate drawing. I don't want to use the originals, even though the originals too look good. We got Skilled White Magician. Basically, it's the opposite of Skilled Dark Magician, it's a 1900 beater, but it's used to summon Buster Blader when it gets 3 counters. Skilled Dark Magician, like I said, opposite as in not only are the color, but also with the attack and defense points. And this one summons Dark Magician, yeah. And there's 2 of them. Then we got Old Vindictive Magician. We gotta have this card, you know. First turn or whenever, set it, have your opponent attack, and it destroys that monster. Oh yes. Oh yes. We gotta have Breaker. Come on now. We all know what Breaker does. We all know what Breaker does. Sexy Breaker. Double Coating. This card came in the Yugi starter deck, and the reason why I kept it was if you can protect it, you can use this as a tribute for a dark monster. And most of my monsters here are dark. Except this one, this is Earth. But Dark Magician itself though, he's pretty dark. Then we have 2 Silent Swordsman level 3. He's not really that good. It says negate the effect of your opponent's spell cards that target this card. That's pretty good. But then during your standby phase, you get to bring out level 5 in this B. And level 5, that's that boy. 2300 ATK, and it's unaffected by spell cards. And this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent by direct attack. During your standby phase, you can special summon Silent Swordsman level 7. Yo, battle, we don't run this level 7 because it didn't come in the deck. I guess there's a reason, because now you're pushing it. We got 2 Summoner Monks to bring out the special summon. If the camera's shaking, I'm sorry. I'm getting tired from being in that same position, you know. When you're doing these things, you gotta stay still when filming the camera. And I film the camera while I go through it, so yeah, it's really painful. Magician's Valkyrie basically doesn't allow your opponents to target any other spellcasters except this one. The Tricky, discard 1 card, special summon. Dark Hole, basic staple. Swords of the Revealing Life, Stall, Black Pendant. When it equipped it makes your monster gain 500, but when it's destroyed, your opponent loses 500. Best equipped card ever. MST staple, Mage Power, really good, especially when you're locked on back row. This card's amazing. This card's amazing. For every back row, including itself, You gain 500 attack points and defense points to that monster you selected. 1,000 Knives is a Dark Magician specialty. Activate only when you have a face of Dark Magician. Destroy one monster your opponent controls. Dark Magic Attack, another Dark Magician special. Activate only when you have a face of Dark Magician. Destroy all spell and trap cards your opponent controls. So these go in combo. Magical Dimension, really good card. Summon Dark Magician. They summon Dark Magician Girl. Basically have a monster, and then have a spellcaster monster. And then when you activate this card, it could be either on your turn or your opponent's turn. You can special summon that monster from your hand and destroy one of your opponent's monsters on the field. But your opponent probably most of the time will have wind up Zen Master, which is if it's destroyed or would be destroyed, discard one. But I've seen that a couple times, so it's not really that effective against decks that you run that card. Ancient Rule, you know how this is the basic card. Play this card and you can special summon any level 5 or higher normal monster from your hand. So Blue Eyes, Red Eyes, Dark Magicians, summon Skull, the classics. Magicians Unite. Activate only when you have 2 or more face-up attack position spellcaster type monsters. Select one of them. That monster's attack points become 3,000 until the end of this turn. Other spellcaster monsters you control cannot attack. So if you're going for game or it's a really strong monster that you can't beat, this is really what you should go for. Shard of Greed. It's like Pot of Greed, but you have to draw twice, so you could get 2 greed counters or more. And then you send it to the graveyard and you draw 2 cards. Really good. I might add another one to this deck, but I don't know. Ubaku, staple. Mirror Force, staple. Spellbinding Circle, I know, right? Classic. It's Yugi. Select one monster. It cannot attack or change its battle position. When that monster is destroyed, destroy this card. Basically a stop. It's like Phoenix Chain, but it doesn't take the effect out. Collar the Haunted, bring back a monster. If this card is destroyed, destroy the card. Magic Cylinder, we all know how good that is. And Miracle Restoring. You know how this deck runs spellcasters? Basically it says, remove 2 spellcasters on your side of the field. Special summon 1 Dark Magician or Buster Blader from your graveyard in attack position, in attack or defense position. So this is really good. Oh, don't mind the noise in the background. I'm sorry. Zero Gravity. This card's really good. It got me out of this situation when I was attacking and my opponent used Mirror Force and activated Zero Gravity. It's really good. It says change all battle positions of all face-up monsters on the field. Rising Energy, another good card. Discard 1 card to select 1 face-up monster. It gains 1,500 attack points until the end of this turn. Bottomless Trap Hole, staple, and then we're running Dark Magician deck, so you already know I's gots to have Magician of Black Chaos. It's just a 2,800 beater, and it's easy to summon, especially if you do get to draw Black Magic Ritual, which I haven't yet, not yet, but you know how it's easy to ritual summon monsters, because it's either because you can summon it from well, from my knowledge, you can special summon from the deck too, which is really good. So that's my Dark Magician. That's not my Dark Magician deck. That's my Yugi deck on Dev Pro. If you guys want to duel me, search up the username GreyWolfVino. No spaces, everywhere cap. And that's all, folks. Don't forget to tune in hopefully next week for a new video. Alright, peace.